Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Lots to get into tonight. Dave stays in this story that will twist and turn more and more as the summer approaches. Dave stays at the moment. This is the latest news coming out of Manchester United. Also, Solskjaer, we mentioned it this morning. The centre-back dilemma becomes a bit of a dilemma as to what is it we're actually looking to do at centre-back. Another United target being linked with another top four rival within England now, which leaves us with what are we going to do next? I mean, I don't know whether anybody just saw it. I quote tweeted it off Twitter. Jules Koundé talking about, money isn't everything in the world. And, maybe that makes him more attractive to Manchester United. I don't know. Lots to get involved with anyway. Please smash a like on the video. We're a little bit early tonight because 8 o'clock on That's Football. I'm doing double watch-alongs for the Champions League. You can check me out there. But for now, we're talking Manchester United. And as you can see, I'm kitted out in the Boohoo Man active range again. I have been quite active today, so I feel that, wearing some gym stuff just makes me feel more healthy, even though I've not been on a run yet. So today's show is sponsored by the nice people at Boohoo Man, and as you can see, as I just said there, I'm wearing some of the brand new Boohoo Man running collection. As I mentioned last time, there's a really cool feature in the new Boohoo Man range. They've hidden QR codes in their new collection, which takes you straight to the Boohoo site, where you can take advantage of the amazing 40% discount that is exclusive to United Stand viewers. All you've got to do is hit the link in the description or scan the QR code on their clothing and use the code United Stand, all one word, to get that great 40% discount. Thanks so much to Boohoo Man for sponsoring the show again and supporting the channel. We really appreciate it. And let's get on with the show. And as I say, I'm wearing some of their stuff tonight, so crack on with it. Link in the video description there. Get yourself some active wear. But let's talk about David De Gea. So this is coming out of the Manchester Evening News, who just very interesting. I don't know whether anybody saw what Solskjaer was caught saying in training today, and it was basically along the lines of get some pictures of De Gea and the goalkeepers smiling together because the press are trying to make out that they don't get on, etc., sort of thing, or words to that effect, which I thought was quite funny from Ollie. Maybe he knew he was being recorded, I don't know, but there you go. But David De Gea, as it stands, has not held any talk. I need my glasses for this. Glasses Bridge. David De Gea, as it stands, has not held any talks with Manchester United regarding a potential sale, and the 30-year-old remains committed to playing again soon. This is from the Manchester Evening News. De Gea is valued at around 50 million, but his wage demands would likely be prohibitive for a number of clubs due to the effect of the pandemic on finances. Spain would be the preferable option to him, but a move back to the capital looks very unlikely for David De Gea. In fact, I think the safest thing to say about David De Gea is that the only place that he's likely to go is probably PSG, which doesn't solve any problem that David De Gea may or may not have. I think David De Gea has made it, I think even the fax machine a few years ago, I think David De Gea in Madrid is going home, isn't it? Real Madrid was, I never really had a problem with De Gea wanting to go back to Real Madrid. We had this with Ronaldo. He's actually from there. It's like going home and playing for the biggest club in the world, isn't it? So I don't think there was ever and I don't think any United fan really had a problem with David De Gea going back to Real Madrid. It fell apart, and then he was very consistent for us after that. So I think Madrid would be preferable for David De Gea, but I just talking and seeing what's going on in the general media, I don't think David De Gea wants to leave Manchester United, and I think it's going to be very interesting how this moves. Now, as I said at lunchtime, I don't know what everybody thinks, how this is going to pan out. I'm interested to see. Look, I've got to say straight away, first of all, I think he will play tomorrow. It's not logical to just drop him completely, but it makes no sense. I've always said this. One, he doesn't deserve it, but two, the business side of it makes no sense. It makes no sense to just kick him out the team for no reason. So I think he will play tomorrow, and I think if he does play tomorrow, then you're back in that situation where they're sharing the role. However, this story could be perceived to be a good news story. David De Gea stays, he doesn't want to go anywhere. And I think we all want that. Well, some of us want that to happen, some of us don't. But where I would agree is that a decision does need to be made in the summer. I'm not going to change where I was in the summer and where many of you were last summer. I never felt this was a good idea to have two very good goalkeepers and one goalkeeping spot. It just doesn't work. It doesn't matter how you paint this picture, it doesn't work. And when Ollie speaks publicly and you get some other people saying, it's a great situation, I love having two great goalkeepers fighting for one spot, I'm privileged, I'm lucky. You think It's like the guy who's married, isn't it? And, you know, he's got the nice house, the nice car, the nice kids, but you can tell he's not happy when he's cutting his grass every Saturday morning. You can see the despair in his eyes. And then when you go around for a family barbecue, he's there with a big smile. I'm lucky, I've got everything I want, but you can see the pain behind his eyes. And I think that Solskjaer is in that situation where he's going, oh, I'm lucky, I've got 2 fantastic goalkeepers. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And look, you know, a lot of people think it's great to have 2 things, but it can be quite tiring, you know, no matter how good they are. And I think that with this David De Gea and Henderson problem, it's not, I don't think it is a good problem. I don't think it's a good problem at all. And look, the way it's gone this season, I think it's gone quite smoothly to this point. You know, one's played the cup games, one played the league games, but Henderson at Christmas was getting pissed off because there wasn't that many cup games around at that time. And, you know, there was rumblings of Henderson wanting to leave. And now David De Gea goes and has a child, or goes and sees his child born, loses his place. And then, obviously, he's not happy. And a lot of this is being driven by the media and the fans. You know, I take my part in that, of course. But it's a discussion point. It is a discussion point. And whether Solskjaer wants it to be a discussion point or not, it is. And let me paint you this picture, right? The season starts off. Crystal Palace beat us 5-0. Brighton beat us 5-0. I mean, Spurs already beat us 6-1. And 7 of those goals are David De Gea's fault. So Ollie quite rightly drops David De Gea and puts Dean Henderson in goal. We come back after the international break. Dean Henderson does well for 2 months. But then at Christmas time, obviously the media would be talking about De Gea a lot in those 2 months. Over Christmas, Dean Henderson makes a couple of mistakes. David De Gea comes back in goal. Dean Henderson gets dropped. David De Gea is the goalkeeper till this time of the year. Goes and has the birth of his child. Dean Henderson's in goal. David De Gea's dropped. So it's actually gone rather smoothly, really. It could have gone a lot worse. And I don't think it's beneficial for whoever goalkeeper you want. I don't think it's beneficial because, you know, imagine one of them, as I said, had made a lot of mistakes and the other one gets the goalkeeping position. They've still got that other goalkeeper on the bench waiting for them to mess up. And look, you know, look at Alisson at Liverpool, considered to be one of the top 5 goalkeepers in the world. Alisson made a mistake last night. He's made a lot of mistakes. Is old what's his face? I can't even remember his bloody name. Adrian. Is he getting any game time? No, because Alisson is Klopp's number 1 through thick and thin. You know, you've made a few mistakes, but I believe in you. And this is the problem when you've got 2 goalkeepers like David De Gea and Dean Henderson, both fantastic. But the media and almost the fan base would never allow the mistakes that Alisson has made. That would never be allowed of Henderson or De Gea. It would be like, get rid of him. We've got another one on the bench. This is not a good thing for a goalkeeper. You need a number 1 and you need to stick with that number 1. And your number 2 is a Romero or a Grant or a Joe Hart. There's someone like that. They're nowhere near as good. And you go with the number 1. So look, Dave stays for now. For now, he stays, of course. There's no massive upheaval at the moment. But the decision still needs to be made in the summer. And if the summer is De Gea goes in the summer and we go with Henderson, look, that's the decision. I just don't agree with what's happened at the moment. But in the summer, I 100% believe a decision needs to be made. And I'd be interested to see what everybody else says about that. A lot of people saying De Gea is our number 1. A lot of people saying Henderson's the future. I totally agree with that. But I just cannot put up. I cannot see how it's a good situation letting it run into next season. But if you're joining in a little bit late, Dave stays is the news for now. David De Gea doesn't want to leave Manchester United, wants to stay at United for the future. And a lot of this will come down to the fact that he's on very good wages and United can't sell him anyway, which we've always said. So it's a problem for Manchester United to resolve, but, you know, we're going to have to do something about it. And look, I agree with what Gary Leams just said there. What about Sergio Romero? Poor guy never gets a look in. I think the treatment of Sergio Romero is very reminiscent of some of the treatment of United players over recent years. I thought the way Herrera was treated, allowing his contract to run down, was poor. And I think the way Romero's been treated is poor. I mean, look, my memory's not that long. You know, I remember a lot of people did want Romero to be given a chance at one point and probably deserved a chance. You know, De Gea a couple of years ago was making a lot of mistakes. So, you know, he hasn't been treated that well. But look, we've got 2 fantastic goalkeepers. And I think in the summer, one of them needs to be moved on. For now, I think just share the role because you keep the value of the club. And yeah, we'll see what's happening. Are you doing PSG versus Bayern, says Archie Cooper? I am. It's on That's Football. I'll be live there after this. Don't worry. We'll all go from there to here or here to there. So yes, I am doing 2 watch-alongs tonight. Looking forward to it, actually. United tomorrow night, though. Granada. I mean, still the Poundland European Cup. I'm sorry. It is. I'm excited about it. But I'd rather be playing Champions League football. It's a bit different, isn't it? To be fair. De Gea is in the UK, yes. He's not probably in the UK now. He's probably in Spain with Man United. I think they might have flown out there. I'm watching both games, so I'm doing Chelsea, Porto and PSG buying like I did last night. I've got 2 screens, a little one and a big one. Anyway, it's the Emmerdale Cup. It is the Emmerdale Cup. Thank you to all the happy birthday messages, by the way. Please smash a like on the video. So the next thing I want to talk about is that Italian reports are talking about Milenkovic to Chelsea now. I think what we're starting to see here, 2 things. With Milenkovic, I've always said this is his agent. I think this is his agent pushing United interest, and now we're getting Chelsea. So it's just following a pattern with Milenkovic. It just feels like it's agent-led. Doesn't mean we're not in for him, but it feels agent-led. But it is interesting in the sense that Chelsea linked to Milenkovic now. They were linked to Koundé this morning. We want Koundé. We've been linked to Milenkovic. We need a centre-back. Chelsea clearly want a centre-back as well. It's a competitive market this summer. Liverpool might want a centre-back. Although if they get Konate, I quite like the look of that Kabak. I think Liverpool will be well set next season. In fact, I think Liverpool are still a good team. I just think the centre-backs, they've had a huge amount of bad luck this season. If they get Van Dijk back, they get Matip back, they get Gomez back, and they've got Kabak and Konate, they've got 5 very good centre-backs there. In fact, one of them will have to be moved on, I reckon. Chelsea will need a centre-back, and they will want a centre-back. I mean, I don't know why they don't want to use Tomori. I'd consider Tomori at United, to be fair. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. And the reason I sort of wanted to mention that tonight, Solskjaer's centre-back dilemma, is that we desperately do need a centre-back. But I don't know who we're going for. And I think that's very... I quite like Kabak, Marvin. He is shaky, you're right, but... I don't really put him at fault for any of the goals last night. I think that was down to Phillips and Trent on every goal, really. So I think he looked shaky in January, but reminds me a little bit of Vidic. He's nowhere near as good as Vidic. But when Vidic came first to United in that January with Evra, they were really shaky, and then they just got better and better. I think Kabak looks all right, to be fair. But look, he's a Liverpool player. I hope he does fail. But yeah, so I think that what I wanted to ask you as well was, Tomori is at Milan. I know Harry Owen. I'm just saying I don't know why Chelsea don't bring him back. The point I was going to make is, what centre-back are we looking at? We know we need a centre-back. We know he's not going to use Tuanzebe. We know Bay's unreliable. And we know that Lindelof and Maguire ain't good enough. So we need a top-class centre-back. We know United wants a top-class centre-back. We know Solskjaer wanted a top-class centre-back last summer. Who is it we're going to get? United very quiet on what centre-back they're going for. And you know what? I don't know whether anybody else felt like this in the Brighton game. There was that one moment where Ben White got the ball and sort of went on a run. And I was like, shit, that's the cheque signed. That's 40 million to Brighton. That's our new centre-back. And I was like, for God's sake, he's literally gone on a run past 3 players as a centre-back, and that's it. He'll be the next bloody centre-back playing with I nearly said Barry White. I don't know why I'm calling Harry Maguire Barry White. Barry White, Harry White, I suppose. Harry White, Harry Maguire, Ben White, Barry White. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Oh, you're first, you're last, you're everything. But yeah, I don't want Ben White. I don't think he's shite, but I don't think he's anywhere near what we need. If we bought Ben White, I'd back him, of course. I had to back Fellaini for 5 minutes, so I would back him. But I think United need something a little bit better than that. And I suppose the query would be, what is the little bit thing better than that? I think United are pricing themselves out of Koundé already. The things I'm hearing is that they like Koundé, but they don't like the price. So, for me, that's United out of the Koundé race. Varane, very unlikely, as much as I think United would love to sign Varane, and he would be the elite signing. Maybe we're waiting on Varane, I don't know, but it's difficult to know what we're going to go for, because if we don't get Koundé and we don't get Varane, you're then thinking, are we going to go for Pau Torres? I like the Ajax centre-back, says Cons. To be honest with you, at this stage, and they're ranked in order, it would be Varane, Koundé, and then a big drop-off to Torres. But if it's those 3, I can probably deal with it. I don't want Tyrone Mings, I don't want Ben White, and I don't want anybody else, really. I mean, Badiashil's interesting, but I still think he's very young. So I think that, for me, it's Varane, Koundé, or Pau Torres. But I do worry. I do worry about that, how that might pan out, really. So we'll see. I'd much rather have Pau Torres than Ben White, says Jack Carter. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think that I just don't want an English Brexit signing. And I know people say, oh, you're being silly about the Brexit stuff, and maybe I am. Maybe I am. But I don't want that sort of signing. I think, United need to learn from their past mistakes in many ways. And I think that when you look at the situation that we've had with Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire, we've bought expensive British players, and it's not, we've overpaid. So I don't want to do that again. I'd rather have White over Mings, but you know what? What you're basically saying there is I'd rather have a ham sandwich over a bread and butter sandwich. This ain't a BLT. It's not the best sandwich ever made. If you know, you know. It's like you're dealing with 6th and 7th choice signings again. United need an elite centre back signing. I saw something on Twitter today. There's a bit of an argument about Sancho being more of an important signing for United than Erling Haaland. I definitely agree with that. For the reasons I said this morning, Erling Haaland is not a good signing for Manchester United. And I think that if you had Jadon Sancho in the team, our number 9 would get more chances than they get now. I don't think Dan James, Mason Greenwood, Marcus Rashford, I don't think they create anywhere near enough for our attack, for our number 9. Granted, they don't get enough of the ball from our slow back 6, but I think that Sancho would be more important than a Haaland. But I think the centre-back is an extremely important position for Manchester United. Rexon says a right winger is more important than a centre-back. We really can't go into next season with Lindelof and Maguire and expect to progress. We can't. We saw it in the Brighton game. I know I'm going over old ground here, but we saw it in the Brighton game. Both, Welbeck should have scored. That would have been Maguire's fault. And I felt Lindelof was at fault for the first one. And that was because we had Pogba and Fred instead of McTominay and Fred. McTominay and Fred would have overprotected them. And we didn't do that. We tried to play a little bit more expansive with Pogba in there, which is the way we should play. But it leaves less protection for Maguire and Lindelof. And the reality is, whether people like it or not, all these clean sheets we've been getting always seem to happen when we play McFred. Like, think back to the Liverpool game, the Man City game. Think back to these last few games. Yeah, we've been getting loads of clean sheets. Yeah, you're being bubble wrapped. Like, you won't get clean sheets if we play a proper midfield. And that's because we are bubble wrapping our centre-backs. We overcompensate and we play too defensively because of our centre-backs. If we had Maguire with a proper centre-back, we wouldn't bubble wrap. We wouldn't need to worry about it. And I think we can get clean sheets and play more expansive. So a centre-back is very, very important for Manchester United. We'll see what happens with it, though. Mark, thoughts on Aaron Wan-Bissaka going forward? Defensively, he's probably the best in the world, but he really needs to up his game in attacking. Sean, I'd stop you there, really. I don't think he's the best in the world defensively. I don't. I think he gets away with being one of the best fullbacks in the world in a one-on-one situation, but I think his positional sense is bordering on inept. I mean, I did that video a few days ago about De Gea and Henderson and the dropping of De Gea and how unjust I felt it was when you go through every goal we've conceded this season. And unfortunately, a lot of goals we've conceded this season have become because of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And a lot of chances we've conceded this season is because of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Closing down, positionally poor, playing people onside. He is a brilliant, brilliant fullback in a one-on-one situation, and not many people can get past him. But positionally, whether that's the offside trap, whether that's the back post, he isn't defensively good. And obviously, I think I agree going forward. I think he can work on that. I think he does need to work on that because I think Luke Shaw is just, streets ahead, but Luke Shaw's one of the best left backs in the world at the moment. So, yeah, he can improve going forward, but I still think he's got a lot to improve defensively. I don't know what people think about that. I think there is this assumption that Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a brilliant defensive right back, but he's not great going forward. I'd change that to he's a brilliant one-on-one fullback, but positionally, I think he's still got a lot to learn there as well. United squad most expensive in the world, says Ayub. And all teams seem to target Aaron Wan-Bissaka on that side, says Annie Bro. Ben White. Varane is unreliable, says Rui. I mean, look, I'm sure. Look, Varane's not the perfect centre back, but he's streets ahead of ours. Absolutely streets ahead. And I would take Varane. Look, Pau Torres doesn't come without his faults. Koundé doesn't come without his faults. Varane doesn't come without his faults. But we're talking about breaking up the Maguire and Lindelof partnership. And Maguire and Varane, Koundé and Maguire, Torres and Maguire is streets ahead of Lindelof and Maguire, and that's what we've got to do. You're never going to get the perfect centre back. But, Varane's won 3 Champions Leagues in a row. He's won a World Cup. He's won multiple La Ligas. And people say, well, he's doing that in a Real Madrid team. You've got to be in that Real Madrid team. If Real Madrid, if Varane wasn't that good, Real Madrid wouldn't pick him. France wouldn't pick him. He's a very, very good centre-back, and he'd be a very good signing for Manchester United. And he's only 28 still, so he's still got, something in him. To be honest with you, though, I think if he does leave Real Madrid, I'd quite fancy Chelsea to get him as well. I think we might have to wait and see what Chelsea do and get what they don't get, because I'd be very impressed if United get Koundé or Varane over Chelsea. And I suppose they could get one and we could get the other one. But I think we might have to wait and see what Chelsea want to do, because they're so good in transfers compared to us. I think we might have to wait and see what they do. If we don't want Varane, who the hell do we want, says Paul Robinson. Well, yeah, beggars can't be choosers. I don't know. I can take it on board that Varane might make the odd mistake and be a bit inconsistent at times, but come on, it's so different to anything we've got. Varane's absolutely twice the player Harry Maguire is, and I rate Maguire, so I think it'd be perfect, absolutely perfect. CDM and Magaluf or centre back and McFred next season, says Jack. Well, I think we need to solve both. I wouldn't even want to play either or on that one. I think we need to solve both. If Chelsea don't get top 4, I think they will struggle to sign, to be honest, says Sin Games. Yeah, but we didn't get top 4 and we still got Zlatan and Pogba, so you can still do it, especially when it's going to be Tuchel's first summer. You can almost do what Mourinho did and said, look, I inherited this problem. Next season we'll be back in the Champions League. Next year we're gonna fight for the Premier League, which they may well do. Kalidou Koulibaly, pockets for Mino and Mane. Craig saying Kalidou Koulibaly. Look, yeah, he's another player that I would like at United. Koulibaly again is streets ahead of Lindelof and Maguire, as is Varane. And I'm not looking to get rid of both of those players. I'd quite like Lindelof. I personally think Lindelof and Maguire are very similar, even though they're quite different. Their attributes are quite similar. They both like to bring the ball out from the back. They're both around the same pace. Look, Maguire's better in the air. Lindelof probably better at hitting a longer ball. But one of them with a top-class centre-back makes us decent. So I don't want Lindelof to be sold. I think people say, get rid of Lindelof or get rid of Maguire. Why get rid of either of them? Keep them and bring a top-class centre-back in, and then the other ones can fight with each other. We might be in a situation next year, if we bought Varane in and we play Varane with Maguire and Maguire makes loads of mistakes, you go, screw that, give Lindelof a chance with Varane. That might happen next year. So I wouldn't get rid of either of them, but for me it's Maguire and another centre-back. That's what we need. And it's a big season. It's a big season for Harry Maguire next season if we bring in a top centre-back, because he's got nowhere to hide then. I think at the moment I definitely see a very good centre-back in Harry Maguire when he doesn't play with Lindelof. But, he's got to show that consistency when he's not there. And, of course, Ram is right. Victor Lindelof's heading is atrocious. He really isn't good in the air. And he gets bullied. That West Brom striker did it, didn't he? Koulibaly's not rubbish, Farah. I think Koulibaly would be a very good signing. But I am streaming Bayern versus PSG, yes. If Ollie gets sacked before Christmas, how long will it take for the new manager to take the captaincy from Maguire? Maybe I'm looking too far ahead, says Mario. Well, I don't necessarily think that Harry Maguire's reputation in world football is a bad one. Remember, Pep Guardiola wanted him. Jose Mourinho wanted him. And his stock is not bad in world football. So I don't think that whether Solskjaer survives another year or not, I don't think Maguire would be kicked out of the team. And we need to stop making excuses for the lack of quality in our squad. Pretending these players are good enough isn't doing anyone any favours, says Daniel Phillips. And you should go to the shoe shop. If you know, you know, says Matt Toaston. 11 o'clock, I'm going to the shoe shop. If you know, you know. Would you want Saka if Arsenal need to sell, says Oscar. Well, I would do, but they won't sell to us. That won't happen. That won't happen at all. But no, going back to that previous point as well. Look, you talk about Maguire leaving the club. I wouldn't sell Maguire. if I had my way over the next 18 months, I would be looking to remove either Fred or McTominay from the club. I don't think you need both players. I don't really think either of them are top 4 standard to start games, and I don't want 2 of them on the bench. So I'd be removing one of those, because you can't afford one of those to be a reserve player, not even on the bench. So one of those would be going. I wouldn't remove Lindelof or Maguire, because I think that, you know, Bay's probably going to go, Jones is probably going to go, maybe even Twansebi's going to go. So I wouldn't get rid of one of those if we brought a good centre back in. Obviously Wan-Bissaka stays, Shaw stays, Telles stays. One of the goalkeepers has got to go this summer, as I said. Dan James is probably going to have to go. Jesse Lingard's got to go this summer. These are all ruthless decisions, but I'm thinking about the shape of the team over the next 18 months. And I'm thinking about, well, if I don't remove some of these players, I've got Lindelof on the bench. I've got Fred and McTominay on the bench. I've got Lingard and Dan James on the bench. I've just filled my bench up with people. And, you know, where am I going to put people like Diallo and Hannibal and, you know, any new signings? So we do need to be ruthless. Of course we do. I don't think we realise how ruthless we need to be over the next 18 months. If we're going to build a title-winning side, you've always got to be thinking about your bench. And remember, we've still got Matic and Mata at the club. They might be here for another year. We're top-heavy on players that are probably going to get you 6th. And what we need to be is, we probably need to halve those players and focus on getting players that are going to win us something, and build out a bench. And we've got some good young players coming through as well. So you've got to be thinking about your bench. And that's without talking about people like Brandon Williams and Axel Twansebi, who don't seem to be able to get a look in at all. But, you know, there's a big job to be done, and Man United have never been good, no matter who the manager is, whether it's Moyes, Van Gaal or Mourinho or Solskjaer. We've never been good at shaving the deadwood. I think Ollie's done quite a good job. Fellaini, Lukaku, Alexis Sanchez, Chris Smalling, Antonio Valencia. We've removed quite a lot, but there's a hell of a lot more. It's a bit like cutting your grass in the summer. You can cut it once, but it'll grow back very quickly. You've got to keep cutting it. Trim the lawn to make the grass look bigger. That's not right. Your yard look bigger. Let's hope we're waiting for Varane, Mark, says Susan Brandon. And I think Varane is okay, but we do not need him if you see Real Madrid games. Look at Varane with Ramos. He is not good. He makes too many mistakes. And partner him with a slow centre-back like Maguire? Hell no. Varane's one of the quickest centre-backs in the world. I can't understand that people think Varane's slow. He's one of the quickest centre-backs in the world. Fact. Like, I don't get this issue with Varane. I mean, you know, I just don't get it. He's on a different level to any centre-back we've had at our club in the last 5 years. Like, I don't know why you turn your nose up at Varane, especially with 1 year left on his contract. He's bargain material. Absolutely bargain material. Haaland has missed more big chances this season than Rashford, says Ram. Look, Erling Haaland's a fantastic striker, but I don't think he's going to work well for Manchester United, if I'm honest with you. I'm having a really bad day, says Stephen Donahue. Love and support to Stephen. Stephen, we're all here for you. And although I'm just about to end the show. And definitely need top-end players to this squad. We have our fill of average. And also, Roberts, with Varane, you get a World Cup winner, a Champions League winner, a La Liga winner. You get that experience in the dressing room as well, don't you? You get that winning mentality, which I think is very important for a player who's 28. And he's definitely, you know, he's not leaving Real Madrid at 32. He's leaving Real Madrid at 28. He's in his prime, looking for a new challenge. I think that sort of player is invaluable. Really, really invaluable, to be honest. Varane, fraud, Poundland, Longley, says Leng and Sweet. Don't know. That's Football Watch Along has been pinned into there as well. We're going to go straight over to there, so I'll see you over there. But just a shout out to Boohoo Man, 40% off. Link is in the video description for that. Thank you very much to them for sponsoring the show today. Really appreciate that. I'll just whack it on the screen for you as well. 40% off using the code United Stand. I'm wearing some of their clobber at the moment, and you can get 40% off through the link in the video description. So make sure you get some of that. I'm actually wearing some of their running wear at the moment, but it's active wear. I feel a bit like a Jedi when I'm wearing this. I just need my sword. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Quick show tonight. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. It's not the end. I'm going over to That's Football now for the double Champions League watch along. Very exciting. We had 15,000 watching last night, so hopefully we'll get a few watching us tonight. Head over to That's Football. The link is in the pinned live chat, or you can just type in That's Football, and I'll see you over there in a minute. Shout out to Boohoo Man, 40% off. Links in the video description. Get yourself some stuff with 40% off, and I'll see you over there in a minute.